everybody, and welcome to the FFL Solidity team call. My name is Marisa Maggio. Super excited to be on with you guys today, going into week 2 in March of 2024. Now, each week, I truly do sit back and think, who do people need to hear from? And more recently, I had the chance to hear from Mac on his team call, and I was like, I think we need to hear more of Mac. His delivery is amazing. As a lot of you guys, he's hit Hall of Fame 3 times. He shows up every day. He's always on the dial team. He's in home, still somehow on the dial team. He's doing his thing. He's making moves, and he just cares about his business. So without further ado, Matt, welcome to the call. Thank you so much for being on with us today. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you guys for having me.
Absolutely. Well, I'm really excited for this one just because I know when you speak from your heart, and I appreciate that because I think honesty goes a long way. So just to kind of hit it off, Mac, really what I want to kind of frame the call around, just so you're kind of with me, is like almost how in this business you have to kind of have that snowball effect, right? You're gonna start and it's gonna hurt a lot. It's supposed to hurt, guys, by the way. And then as you start kind of moving that snowball or moving that, whatever you want to call it, it's going to hurt a little bit less, but you might have a little bit pains along the way. So essentially it's going to go from a time that you're trading time for money to a point that you're trading money for time. And that's when things become kind of, fun. Also just kind of about when you're working, you're working. I know for Mac, when he's working, he's working. He's not just at the office hanging out. And excuses versus system, right? We can make excuses or we can plug into the system and we can use it. So Mac, I know I just hit on a lot of that there, but before we hit on all that, because I do love to hear your story, Mac, will you just give us a quick intro on how you got into the business, why Family First Life, and kind of what you were doing prior?
Thank you. I appreciate that. By the way, isn't it interesting that to contemporaries, they were just doing their job? All the people that we love, if you ask them back in the day, they were just doing the best they knew how. George Washington, he didn't want to be president. He didn't want to lead the charge. He was just doing his duty. And so I got to be real. For me to be here with y'all, hey, I appreciate you guys. You guys are superstars. So yeah, as far as how I got here, I was just timing is everything. I've been approached, I think it was about a year previous, almost like you, Marisa, and it just wasn't the right time. And I just think of people like clocks. There's a 12, 3, 6, and 9. And so when you approach people at 12 o'clock, nah, they're good. 3 o'clock, it's all right. 6 o'clock, they're like, I'll think about it. 9 o'clock, they're like, okay, what were you saying about that again? And the thing is, when you approach people at 12 and you think they say no, it was just not the right time. So just keep that in mind. And so it was about 9 o'clock for me. And I needed to do something different. And so I was, even though it was 9 o'clock, here's the truth. I was afraid. People would think, Mac, afraid. I had a lot of things happen. I'd gone through a lot of hell to get to where I was at, and I lost it all. And when you go through that much hell and to lose something, you don't go to zero, you go below zero, just being real. And I was depressed. I mean, I gave a good face, good front, I'm a shipper guy and all that stuff, but I was down. I was so depressed that if someone gave me an opportunity, even though they would think, oh, Mac, he would kill it, I said no, not because I didn't want to, but because I didn't believe in me. And so when you're approaching people, just remember it's timing. And anyway, that time had passed, and I still, even though it was 9 o'clock, I still didn't believe in myself. But the guy that was in FFL, he recruited. He sometimes you recruit through, not to, right? So he knew he wanted me, so he knew the way to get me was through my wife, and so he hired her to work with him as an admin, and she saw the numbers. And when we heard the amount of money people were making, it was like monopoly money. We're like, no, there's no way. I mean, 20 families a month, and we know it's about $1,000 per family. So 20 grand a month, there is no way. Anyway, so she started seeing those numbers and she's reporting them every week because we just talked about submit. She goes, hey, babe, you got to look at these. You got to look at this company. I was like, nah, I'm good. It's still 9 o'clock for me. She goes, a little bit later, you need to take a look at this. I said, nah, I'm good. And then it was about 10 o'clock or 11 o'clock. She goes, you were going to take a look at this company. I said, yes, ma'am. So I took a look and I was still afraid, guys. And I'm getting somewhere to this. I got hired because I was so scared. I got hired on as a recruiter. I needed some kind of salary because I was so afraid. And I did that for about a month. And I'm the recruiter talking about how all these people are making money, how they're doing this, because I knew it was real, because I knew my wife wouldn't lie to me. I saw people going across stage, so I knew theoretically it worked. I'd never done it. And after I think it was about 2 weeks to a month, I said, can I try it out, please? Put me in, coach. And I went in, it was a weekend. I got some leads, dialed, and I helped my first family. I had no idea what I was doing. I hadn't even done an app before, y'all. It took me about an hour and 45 minutes. I'm just typing away. Yeah, yeah, this is how long it normally takes. They're just checking you out. And he got approved. And I called my upline. I'm like, so now what? He goes, he said approve. I said, yeah. I said, how much I make on that? He goes, the equivalent of 1.5 families, which is about $1,500. I said, for real? He goes, yeah. I said, all right, game over. It was anyway, the rest was history. So I helped about 15 families my first month. And then next month it was about 20. Then the next month it was about 22. Then I got kind of lazy, went back to 20. And then I did that for a while. And then, of course, it's never been that bad since.
I love it. And I think that that's huge how you started with, that it might have been 9 o'clock, so to say, in terms of that analogy, which I love. But you didn't believe in you, right? And at the same time, it's clear and evident that, your wife, she believed in you, right? She's saying, hey, take a look at this, right? The people around you believed in you, but you were just in a spot that, like you said, it wasn't your time. It needed to be 10, 11 o'clock. And then you're like, all right, I'm going to take a look at this thing. And I love how you talk about from a recruiting stance, right? You're talking about agents are making this amount of money and that amount of money and helping people and etc. And you're like, but I'm just in this chair, so to say, only just talking about it, not being about it, so to say. Um, and then after you saw it, it didn't take you long, right? You said, like in a month, you were out in the field, you helped your first family, and when you left the home and it was approved, and it was messy in there, I'm sure, doing that app, right? But like, guys, your first 5 apps, like they're supposed to be messy, okay? Like if it only takes you 30 minutes, like that's weird in the appointment. Like you're brand new, guys. Have a little bit of patience with yourself. Just like Max said, throw in some humor in there. Like, yeah, it always takes this long. They're just checking you out. Like, yeah, no worries. This is just what it looks like. Like, it's okay. If you can stay calm, cool, and collective, they're gonna stay calm, cool, and collective too. But I think just also showing Mac how you moved your marker, right? And I think that's a common thing to see in this business. You come in, like you said, your first, month, you helped about 15 families, which is great. Then 20, 22, 20, and then, we're talking Hall of Fame numbers from there. So, Matt, how many families are you helping right now per month, give or take?
I think last month was a little lower. It was like 22, but typically it's between 30 to 40 families, typically.
Okay, so like typically about 30, 40 families.
Yeah. And
All right.
again, if you don't have an agency you're building, you should be doing like 50 plus. I'm just being real with you. Listen, only reason I went down to 30, 40 is because there's one resource we can't get back. It's called time. And I mean, I was doing 60, 70, I did 80. I was doing that. You can do it. But then where do you have time to build? And so some people can, chew gum, talk, walk, and cook at the same time. That's not me. I need to be able to do focus. So I needed to go down. It's what I discovered for me. If you're that person that can help 60 and still build a massive, help people win, more power to you. But to answer your question, it's just that. And can I go back real quick and let you know this? That first family that I helped, guys, when she says it was messy, it was messy. I went to the wrong house, y'all. I was knocking the door and I'm like, no one's answering. I'm like, this dude is not no showing me. I'm like, I'm sitting there. And listen, I have no shame. Listen, if I'm going to take my time to go help you, you are going to answer the door. I was on the window, knocking on the window. Hey, Bill, it's Mac. You here? Anyway, it was a good 5 minutes. I went in the car, called, and I'm looking at the address. I'm like, wait a minute. That's across the street. So I go across the street, knock on the door. The son answers the door. He goes, I said, hey, I'm sorry. And guys, at that point, I was about 40 minutes late, 30 minutes late, because I'm trying to. The guy answers this, he gets his dad. They were out. He's like, oh, he said he can't right now because he's cutting a tree. I'm like, yeah, just sorry. I think he must be confused. Let him know it's Mac, the underwriter. I drove a specific time to get here, and they only sent me out here one time. He says, okay, go tell your dad he will show up. Dad comes to the door, his hands is all dirty. He goes, I said, yeah, don't worry about it. We did it on the porch. We did it on the porch. You see what I'm saying? Like, again, why did I do that? Here's my point in saying that. The way I felt is if you're gonna do it anyway, if you're gonna lose hard. Like, if I'm not gonna get the sale, I'm really not gonna get the sale, right? Because here's the truth. If that guy said no, here's what I knew. It's probably the last time I'm ever gonna see him. So if he's gonna say no, he's gonna have to kick me out, be mad at me forever. His son ain't gonna come to me a week later and say, hey, my dad, did he ever get life insurance with you? Yeah, he was, but I accepted the fact that you said he was busy, so I just went home. No, I told you I was here, and he's only gonna. I'm only coming one time. You said no. That's on you, bro. Anyway, point of the story is you got to fight, no matter whether it was messy. I didn't go to the right house. I was late, but if I accepted the fact that when you're new, it's okay to be messy. My ego was not hurt that I was knocking on the door, looking like a fool, looking like I'm a black dude in a white neighborhood. What do you think the neighbors are thinking, right? I was okay with it. Are you okay with looking bad? And that's the problem is when you're brand new, your ego is in your way. You're so used to looking all posh and knowing what you're doing. This is a new industry. You're supposed to suck. And
Yes.
a lot of y'all don't get it. That's why you're all nervous. That's why you don't unmute, because your ego is stealing your money. I'm gonna get off my soapbox now. Back to
That
you.
was fire right there. Like, because here's the thing, Mac, like, if you just said, like, he's like, oh, my dad's cutting the tree, or, whatever he had said at that time, the son, right? And you just left and you're like, okay, that's great. Just tell him to call me back, right? Like, first of all, he's never going to call you back. Like, I can promise everybody on this call, like, Mac was not getting a call back. And it's not just because it's Mac. If I was at the door, I wasn't either. No one's getting a call back, okay? But Matt took the extra step to say, no, I think he's confused. I'm Matt, the underwriter. I drove out here. We had an appointment. Can you just go get your dad? We'll do it on the porch. Okay. It was messy. It took time, but Matt cared enough about himself, his time, and also cared enough about the family that he didn't want to get that call. Like, oh, hey, remember your dad was cutting the tree down, so I wasn't able to help him out with his life insurance? No. Matt took the extra step. So, guys, sometimes taking that extra step is actually going to show you what you can do, right? It's like times on the phone that you don't give up and they're like, I can't talk right now. Like, I already did it. I already have insurance. And you're like, you just take a step back and you're like, okay, Miss Mary, do you know why I'm calling about that request you just sent in where you put John Smith as your beneficiary? Just following up with you. And she's like, oh my God, I'm so sorry, right? Like one of those moments that takes you back a second. Now, guys, you have to realize, like, just like Max said, like, are you okay with looking back? Are you okay with rejection? If we're not okay with those two things right there, we're not going to make it long haul. Because there's so many things that I could think of just yesterday, Matt, that made me look bad, if you will, or that my ego maybe did get me wet, right? And I didn't unmute on the dial team, as an example, right? But guys, it's like if we can identify that and fix it, that's exactly what we can do. We can identify it and we can fix it, right?
And real quick, Marisa, you
Yeah.
know what's funny about that? There's an old saying about being coachable. We all think we're coachable, and our definition of coachable is if you say what I'm thinking and I say it, yeah, I'm coachable. That's not coachable. Coachable is if you say what I don't think, I still do it. That's called coachable. When it comes to ego, we all think, we believe in God and oh no, I don't have an ego. I'm okay looking bad. You know how your current level of pride determines your current success. How your ego is currently will tell you how successful you are. Now, you might suck now, but if you're making the same money in this company in 30 days, your ego's still in the way. How do you know that you're okay sucking? How do you know you're okay embracing it? How do you get out of your own head? You know why? Here's how you know. Embrace something hard in the morning. I'm gonna give you. I'm listen. It's not about weight. It ain't about what about in the morning? Do you work out?
Yes.
Why don't you? Well, because it's hard and it's inconvenient. That means you're in the way. You're not willing to embrace something that is difficult. That's why you fail. What for me, it's the shower. Man, you know I love me some warm showers. I'm from Africa, y'all. But in the morning, I know it's gonna be cold. I bring the heat. I turn on, I jump in there. We all turn it on, let it heat up. No, you need to bring the difficulty to you for 5. I'm like, then I turn it. Hey, if you can't do it for 5 seconds, do it for 2 seconds. If you can't do it for one. But I'm bringing myself, so I am coming after discomfort. That is how you prove that you're okay looking bad. And so if you say you're okay looking bad, but you're not willing to do nothing about it, you're not working out, you're not embracing hard, you're fooling yourself. And that's your results. That's why success is not giving you what you want, it gives you what you are. And are you humble? And that's what determines humility.
I love that. And, like you said, bringing difficulty to you, right? Like that's a big challenge I think that a lot of us face every single day. It's like we want to take the easy road, we want it to feel good, but it's like, guys, if it felt good yesterday, but like it's not feeling good to reap the financial reward or the mental reward or the moral reward of actually serving a family, like it doesn't matter, right? Like get uncomfortable. When someone says to you, no, I've got it taken care of, and you usually say, okay, great, well, I hope you have an awesome rest of your day, but you start switching that up, like that is bringing difficulty to you because now you're learning your objections, you're learning your rebuttals, you're learning how to come back and actually say something versus just like getting off the phone. Because if I just got off the phone with everybody I talked to, like I would maybe help one family a week. You know what I mean? So it's like for some of us, it's like I'm not confused in terms of bringing the difficulty to you, bring the challenge to you, face the challenge. Do I always want to face the challenge? No. But have I learned that when you face the challenge, it usually you get through the challenge a lot quicker? 100%. And that's why I'm willing to go that road every single time. It's like, take the harder road. It's going to give you an easier back end, right? And I'm all about the back end, just like our back end peg, right? But Mac, with all that being said, it's like, ego, pride, embracing difficulties. I think all those things are really important. And those are the things that when we are, like you said, taking those coaching sessions, it's like, Mac, if I say to you, Mac, what do you think I could have done better on that call? And you say like, oh, well, the intro, like, you just sounded like you were miserable. And I was like, okay, well, I'll change my tone now. The next person I talk to, I'm like, hey, Mac, this is Maurice again, back to that request you filled out and sent back to us. And they're like, what request? And I'm like, the one about the life insurance. And then I asked Mac what I could have done better on that call. And he says, well, you could have been more identifying and said about the request you sent in regarding the final expense programs here in Massachusetts. They would have might have been a little bit more clear. And I respond with, that is what I said. Guys, like that is not coachability. Like you don't want to end up there. Okay. Guys, like when I was 19 years old in this business, I remember I told my mentor, I did say that. And he turned around, he looked me dead in my face and he said, if you said that, then you would not have gotten any of the following responses that you followed up with. So please, if you're going to say that, then like, we can't have a relationship. And I understood right then and there how important it was that when someone's telling me something to not respond with, I said that. Now I might say like, okay, I feel like that's what I said, but it's like, then there's a deeper dive to it, right? Like that's not coachability. So it's like, that also goes with ego, pride, and embracing difficulties. Like I'm not perfect. I'll be the first person to tell you that. Like I don't want anyone to think I am, but I am coachable. I am coachable.
You know what I call that, Marisa? That's being an asshole, is what that is. You're an asshole. You know, if you say that, you just remember you're an asshole. And here's the appropriate response that I tell people. You never solve problems with statements. Problems are like keys. Or rather, let me back up and say it this way. Problems are like locked doors. You solve them with the key. And what is the key? It's questions. So if I tell you something that you could have done better and you don't ask me a question, not coachable. I don't know if you guys ever seen that skit. If you haven't, it'll make you die. Just Google Bon Qui Qui. Bon Qui Qui. Just remember that. And it was the old skit done back in the day when Jim Carrey, those guys. It was the previous to SNL. And the skit was complicated customer. It was this girl from the ghetto, and she was in the ghetto rehabilitation program. And when people made an order, if it was simple, she would do it. And someone would say, I want, cheese, no pickles. She goes, stop, stop, stop. Complicated customer. You are a complicated customer if you don't ask a question. That's why I think. So if I'm coaching you and you don't ask me a question when I give you feedback, complicated. And we're going to address it up front that, hey, in order for us to have a relationship, then you have to be willing to be taught. Period. So no, just remember that. Don't be an asshole. You're right. Make sure that if you ask for someone's help, that you not only listen, but you say, hey, so forget, I thought I said that. I don't care what you felt. It's, hey, how could I have done that better? Or how could I have made sure I said that better? Now, that is a student question. And the reasons you're not succeeding is because you're asking the wrong questions. You're putting the key in the wrong hole, or you got the wrong key that's trying to open the door. So what question are you asking? What question are you asking? Or what question are you not asking? And that's what you should be asking your mentors. What am I not asking appropriately? So just keep that in mind as you go through.
For sure. And that's always going to be applicable. Like till this day, it's like, what question am I not asking? Like, and that's usually what it goes back to when you don't close. It's like, what didn't I ask? What did I miss? Right? Like every single time. That's what it is. Now, Matt, just to kind of change gears a little bit in terms of time and time management. Not to tell your life story or anything of that, but you're married, you have children, quite a few of them, which are beautiful and amazing. But with that, how did you find, or why did you find that when you came into the business, like what did that look like for you in terms of commitment to schedule? Like what was your schedule when you first got started?
When I gotta be honest with you, I went all in.
Mhm.
There is no, I think balance. You have to be willing to pick your battles, is what I understood. I took it from history and wars, whether it be civil, world. Here's what you discover. And this is a rule if you're a good general. You never fight a two-front war, ever. You will get killed. You look at every person that lost, they fought a two-front war, they got flanked. So what you want to do is you want to find a way to get all your forces going one direction towards the enemy. You had to decide, why are you doing this? Why are you doing this? And if the reason that you're doing this is strong enough, you have to put all the effort required to get there. And once you achieve that, then you can go ahead and decide at that point. So I did the dial days. I did Mondays. I dialed all day to book for Tuesday and Wednesday. Thursday, I dialed all day to book for Friday and Saturday. I got to be real, it was a lot. Now, why was it a lot? Well, because, and this is not to get political, because I was a slave. I was a slave to the life that I lived. I was the one that was the slave owner. And in order to be able to buy my freedom, it took a lot of money. And so I had to go bust it. The alternative was what? Go back to a life of living in a cage? So you got to decide, sometimes we're too comfortable with what we have, or rather our why is not big enough to give us the desire and the priority to say, I'm going to focus. So, I mean, for me, Sundays were my days off, and maybe we would plan things during the day. So after, remember my first month, I did help 50 families. Hey, you can go ahead and plan times off. Maybe I would dial Mondays, book for Tuesday, Wednesday. Maybe I would dial Thursday, book for Friday only, or dial Thursday, book for Saturday only. But that wasn't after like maybe 90 days in. I was willing to sacrifice. So that's what it looked like. Now, as time went on, I think about a plane, I got it off the ground. I was able to start coasting. As time went on, I was able to, in 3 days, I got better. I can help 15 families in 3 days, like for real. So imagine that you were a doctor after you went to medical school. You guys have heard of doctors, even if you are not one. They go to school. I mean, they're busy. But after they got medical school, residency, blah, blah, they have a schedule. So similar thing, you are an apprentice, and it's going to take a certain amount of work. So you got to ask yourself, and this is where your leadership comes in. Ask your leaders, okay, give them your schedule. What will it take? Let them reverse engineer your time. And that is the number one thing. The best gift you can do is find a mentor, say, here's my calendar. Could you fill it, please? And they fill it and you show up. And if you do that, they will help you. Now, I have family. I had to get buy-in. I gotta be honest with you. I pay the bills, so I was the first one to buy in. And you can make one of two things. You can be home all day and be broke. And the way I felt, listen, this is me, y'all. You may have a different constitution. I felt I'm a freedom fighter. Just like there are kids whose dads are in Iraq, someplace gone, serving the country, and they get this Medal of Honor. They're gone. The wife is by themselves, taking the kids. And it's okay. It's as long as they're doing it for the country. What are you doing for you? That's what I'm saying. I said Mac is a freedom fighter. I am fighting for Mac States of America. I'm gone right now. It's okay. And listen, if someone dies, hey, I died in a badge of honor, blaze of glory, because the kids, my wife, they knew I was dying for my country, the country of my family. You can decide. So you can die broke, die a slave for your family, or you can decide to. So for me, you have to decide what you want. That's really what it comes down to. So as far as balance, there isn't one in the beginning. Just remember that. But the reason it's okay is because I knew this was a profession. The reason it's not okay for you is because you are disrespecting this profession and what it takes. Because as a doctor, if a wife or a husband said, you're gonna get a residency school, oh, I don't even know, we're not even getting paid right now. You'd be like, are you serious? Did you realize I'm like going to be a doctor, right? Like they don't get it. So don't disrespect this profession. This is God's work. We ain't selling widgets. Everyone else is saying, gimme, gimme, gimme. When the person dies, we are the only one that say, here's the check. What better work is that? Come on, y'all.
Absolutely. And like, honestly, Mac, like when you talk, it's just like, I'm like, I don't even know if I have a good follow-up for that because it was so powerful. But guys, just like Mac said, I don't think I could put it in any better words than what he just said. Like, why are we willing to show up for other people, but we're not willing to show up for ourselves, right? Like, essentially, like, that's the scenario. And a lot of us are in a situation, or we've been in a situation and pulled ourselves out of it of like, if this doesn't work, then I'm going to have to fill in the blank. Now, if that fill in the blank option is still an option for you, like that's okay. I'm not mad at you. But I'm with Matt. I'm fighting on like Marisa States of America. Like I'm gonna make sure that me and my family are always okay. Like, and it's gonna be in this business. And by the way, guys, like Max said, you know, in the beginning, right? Like a doctor, right, in residency is not getting paid. I think that's a perfect analogy, Matt. Because to be quite frank, guys, if you're not making a doctor's income here, it's probably because you're simply not, like, your schedule is probably trash. And if we're just keeping it 100% honest. With that being said, it's like if you can have that conversation and you can actually plug in and like you can get your partner on board, so to say, like, it seems like, Mac's wife, she was on board. Like she understood, she saw the opportunity, she wasn't confused, right? I can understand why if you're not showing your spouse or your loved ones the opportunity, that it could be confusing to them. But at the same time, guys, it's your life. Like, I'm sorry. I don't see that Mac was just going to throw down like, all right, you don't want me to go to work. Okay. I'm going to stay home with you and the kids, and we're all going to suffer and we're going to worry about money every day. And that's just how we're going to live. And I'm okay with that. Like, I know Mac well enough to know, like, that was never a thought in his mind. He wasn't like, oh, maybe I'll just stay home. Like, no, he's going to work to show up for his family and for himself. Guys, when you can switch it to that in your brain, like you're literally going to start showing up more because it's like you're fighting for yourself and for what you actually want to do and believe in. And I think that disrespect to this profession is huge. You walk outside right now, the first person you see, you're like, hey, I'm a life insurance agent. They're going to look at you like you're freaking crazy. Now, here's the best part why I love telling people I'm a life insurance agent. Because I'm a life insurance agent. I help people, and just like Max said, I'm the only one that when people pass away, I'm not saying I'm handing the check out, which is an amazing feeling. But when you're able to do that, and then the person looks at you like, oh, you sell life insurance? They think about you like with your briefcase and everything, and like, all that fun old school stuff. It's like, yeah, I sell life insurance. But guess what? Like, all due respect to anybody, like I probably make 2, 3, 5 times what you make every year. And I'm not being mean because they could do it too. But you're too ignorant to look into what you're actually doing, guys. What we're doing long term, we're helping a heck of a lot of people, and we're providing really well for our families if we take this opportunity seriously. Now, if we don't take it seriously, on the other side of that, like Mac's saying, it's like, that's on you. Only you can decide, right? I think the idea of giving your schedule to a mentor and saying, fill this in like a canvas, like that's beautiful. That's coachability. That's commitment. That's dedication. That's I want to win and I'll do whatever I have to do to win. Just show me. Right. And there's a big difference between that, guys. And you can feel it when you're coaching agents. Right. I did that. I said that. No, you didn't. No, you didn't. Right. Like, remember what Mac said, don't be an asshole. Okay. So I like that a lot. Now, Mac, in terms of like, excuses, people are going to have excuses for everything, right? Like, have you had some excuses in this business yourself?
100%.
Here, there, everywhere, right? But at the beginning,
At every level, there's a different devil. Just remember that.
Amen. Truly, truly. And there's a lot of truth in that. But guys, when we're making excuses, it's like, I don't need you to tell me why you can't show up for your family. Like if you can tell me, I'll I'll read the text. But it's like at the end of the day, in the beginning, like Mac was saying, like you don't have that flexibility, right? The reason why Mac was able to help 15 families in his first month was because he went all in. So he wasn't learning 2 days a week or 3 days a week or whatever. He was learning every single day, and he was learning more and more. It was a compounding effect. And I think that that's huge because if you're going to dedicate flat out, and like I love some of you guys on this call, this is like your schedule, and I love you guys. I'm not hating on you. I'm just being honest, right? In an open forum. Like if you work less than 20 hours a week in this business and you're brand new, it's going to make it so much harder for you to intake this information that it's almost like I feel bad for you. But like at the same time, it's like, where can you add more hours in so that I don't have to feel bad for you? But I'm going to openly tell you, like, I feel bad for you. I'm going to talk about your availability, talk about your schedule, because it's something that needs to be pointed out. And I think schedule wins above everything. If someone follows their schedule in like every single day, but then somebody else is really, really talented, the person that follows their schedule every single day is going to outdo the person that's just really, really talented because they showed up every single day. So Mac, I know I just went on a tangent there, but
No, you're good. No, this is beautiful. It's like hearing someone sing. And you know what came to my mind when you were talking as far as people and excuses is imagine someone that's never ridden a bike before. This is the bike and you're trying to teach them how to ride it. You've been through it. They're riding the bike so slow that they're falling over, so much so that they associate bike riding with falling. They're not going fast enough just to feel the breeze, y'all. This business is easier going fast than slow. And this is why I have become so direct with people. You get your power from saying no. And I want to protect you and not hurt you. It's okay that I did 15 my first month, but it's okay that you did 6 as well, as long as that was your best. What if you did 6? Because I had history. Maybe I was just the Hulk waiting to get unleashed. But maybe, I mean, what have you done to prepare? So we may have we're starting on the same line, but you need to start where you are. All I'm saying is you have to go fast. And if you're not willing to go fast, educate your expectations. Here at this agency, here's what we tell people. If you're going to put in less than 20 hours a week, you're going as earned. As earned. What does that mean? You're not getting an advance. I'm not going to put you in that situation where you're going so slow, falling over, and then you get a charge back, and then you can't even go fast enough to catch it. So you got to go fast enough and ask yourself, can you be more efficient with your time? And I'll just say this, and I'll throw it back to you, Marisa. Every leader, every person is silently pleading to be led. Everyone is praying for leadership. Even me right now. If someone came to my life and they showed themselves, Mac, I will lead you to safety. I'm like, sign me up, brother. Let's go. Tell me where to go. I'm looking for someone to give my schedule to. So if you're only putting in 5 hours, is it possible that you could be more efficient? And you can give yourself all the excuses in the world, but a different you would find a way. You just need to think differently. So yeah, the way you see it, you can't put any more hours, but you need to put in a full-time effort, part-time. Maybe you are Superwoman, Superman, where you can help 30 families in 20 hours, 5 hours. but you're not being very effective. And again, it's happened to me. There's a lot of different things. All I'm just saying is this is where a coach comes in. If your lens is foggy, you need someone else to guide you. So and this is what I'm gonna tell you right now, just being real, y'all. If you're not winning, or rather, forget winning, if you're not showing incremental growth every week, if you're not reporting your numbers to your leaders, you should stop. Stop the bleeding, because you're gonna fail. You're just gonna fail. I don't want to hurt you, your family. Either give up your schedule or get out the game. Because if you could win, you wouldn't be here. If you could do it yourself, you wouldn't need me. You would already be doing it. So either get in the game and let me help you, or get out. And let's stop seeing this. You guys ever seen seen someone getting beat up and it's bloody? Like maybe you don't watch boxing or UFC. You're like, oh man, no, stop the fight, stop the fight. Stop the fight. You're getting killed. So decide.
I love that. And I think there's a lot of power in that. Everyone is definitely silently, wants that leadership. I know, like you said, back, I give some of my schedule, but let's do magic. Like, I would definitely do that too. So like, I'm with you there. And a different you would find a way. I think that's a really powerful line that you just said. A different you would find a way. Well, now I'm not like, I don't think Mac's saying like, go change exactly who you are. I think he's just saying like, think a little bit differently and like, you will find your way. And then in terms of numbers, like Mac, I think that me and you have talked about numbers, like probably more than I talked about numbers with like most people, because guys, the amount of appointments you have, that just the appointment ratio, how many you sit with and how many you close, is going to help you and your mentor be able to properly actually mentor you. Without knowing those numbers, no one can help you. Like Sean Mike can't help you without those numbers. Like flat like that. No one can, no God, Jesus Christ cannot help you without those numbers. So it's like you need to be reporting those numbers each and every week. And if you're not doing that, recognize it, correct it, and just like Max said, like, and move on, but move on in a better direction. If not, I feel you, Mac. Like, stop the bleeding, right? Like let's just make this stop right now. We don't want you to bleed out. I love the bike analogy. When like you can ride really slow on a bike. And Mac, last time I was on a bike, it was like a year ago. This is just like, but I know how to ride a bike, right? Like, but I hadn't been on one like 10 years. Okay. Got on the bike, and it's like one of those bikes you like rent at the beach, because I was just like in that kind of mood, you know what I mean? And I got on the bike and I was riding it really slow. And like the way that the seat was, it was kind of like, wobbly, whatever. My whole point is I was like falling off the bike, literally, right? Then I was like, I need to just get this thing in motion. Like that's literally what my head said. Like, just go fast and you're gonna be fine. But I was nervous I was gonna crash or whatever. But once I started going fast, guys, it was like I was like back to like the 7-year-old Marisa on a bike, just like on her dandy way, right? And it was great. So guys, whenever we're thinking about like where we're at in this business, like let's bring ourselves back to that bike analogy. Like, how slow are we moving on the bike? Are we about to fall off? Like, should somebody just push us off, right? Like, what do we need to do? So I love that. And Mac, just to kind of hit on what you're doing, because you've hit Hall of Fame 3 times. You've been in the industry. You've probably had how many full years here at Family First Life?
3 years. 3 years.
Okay, so every year Mac has been here. He's hit Hall of Fame. He's like, let's not get confused. It's every year. So every year, Mac's hitting Hall of Fame. And to be honest, I think Mac's extremely talented. But above that, I think that Mac truly believes in this opportunity and truly cares about himself and his family. Like those two things I think are just unshakable for Mac. And when we can allow our brain to think that way, like, I can do this, I will do this, I'm not going to fail, it changes a lot of things. So Mac, talk to us just a little bit about what it looked like from going, from helping 20 families a month to helping, 50, 60 families a month when, you're doing that caliber.
What's interesting is the effort didn't change. I became more effective. So you got to embrace yourself, accept yourself for where you are. So I keep going back to it. A lot of y'all, you don't accept the fact that you suck. It's okay. It's like that pimple, you're like trying to cover it, put makeup on it. No, it's right here. It looks terrible. Yeah. It's like remember Eminem, 8 Mile? You know how he won that rap battle? He self-deprecated himself. all the things that were bad about him. He just rapped on it. And then the other dude had nothing to say because he already said it. So I embraced the fact that I suck, and I put a lot of effort into sucking faster. And what happened was the humans are awesome. They're not trees, because humans get better. And I did the same activity, got better. So as far as I just follow what my mentors told me. 30 appointments a week. And I mean, if there's a guarantee ever, if you're doing 30 appointments a week, there's no way you're not going to be helping 30 families a month. That was in home. If you're going virtual sales, you're probably looking the equivalent of about 45 to 55 appointments typically. But all I needed to know was the number. I was the guy who, I remember when I went on track, I was the guy that just tell me where the end is and I'll just go. I might be throwing up on my way to get there, but I know where the end result is. I didn't always hit 30 appointments, y'all. I hit 20. But I always at least had, I would say, I don't know, I typically had about 15 appointments for the next few days, at least in the beginning. Then when I got better and better, I was able to do more with less. Now I go hybrid. It doesn't matter what you do. If you're going in-home still, because for me, that's my jam, follow the same thing. Your goal is when you dial one day, you're booking 15 appointments for the next couple of days. And what will determine whether or not you're going to do that? You need your own GPS. If you can create a GPS, I mean, imagine if someone could say, what if it existed where you bought 100 leads and you can just put it in a machine and it says 5 sales. You're like, what? This is awesome, right? Or you bought other leads, 10 sales, yes. And so you go into it, you already know the sales you're going to get. You become your own GPS when you track the numbers. That's the key. So you may get 200 leads and I may get 200 leads. You might book 10, I might book 2. That's my numbers. Own it. But then if I wanted to book 4 and my numbers were, I booked 2 out of every 200, which is really bad. If I wanted 4 appointments, I would have to buy 400 leads. I would be able to track it. So you just gotta, my numbers are my numbers, but you gotta track your numbers and take it to your mentor and they can tell you where to adjust. And it's a fake and terrible leader. If you take your numbers to them, just like a terrible mechanic, if you take your car to that mechanic and they don't make it better, it's worse when it comes out. You gotta go find a new mechanic. So if your leader every week does not find a way for at least analyze, you just want the mechanic to tell you what is wrong with my car. Tell me what's wrong. How much would it cost to fix it? And in our case, it's either time or money. Oh, you need to spend more time saying that script better. You need to buy more leads. That's the problem. It's either time or money. So your mechanic, your leaders will tell you what it is, what the problem is, but they can't if you don't know what the car is, right? Or how about this? You take you to the mechanic, not the car. Hey, mechanic, I got this car. It's doing. Mechanic's like, what the? Wait, where's the? Just give me the car. You know what that is? When you say, I dialed a lot. How much did you dial? Like a whole bunch. So how many answers? Not very many. Like, give me something to work with. So I know this is not exactly the answer that you may be looking for, Maurice. So I'm trying to give people something tangible that they can take. It doesn't matter what my numbers are. It matters what your numbers are. There is a benchmark that you should hit, though. In home, if you're brand new, benchmark is 30 appointments. Strive for that. Take those numbers to your leaders, and they will tell you whether you're on track, what you need to do. Now, if you're virtual sales, we break it up in 3 shifts. You got to commit to the shifts. You got to be the best boss you can to yourself, because I know you're not used to being a boss to yourself. That's why you've been an employee for all these years. If you were good at being a self-employed, guess what you would have been all these years? Self-employed, right? So you ain't good at it. Let your leader help you. Choose 3 shifts. Act like you're running a store. You guys remember back in the day when you had your first job and you were hoping to make money as a teenager, and your boss, guess what they did? They didn't put you on the schedule, or they only gave you 5 hours. They know you need 15. You be mad at your boss. Why don't you put more hours on your schedule? So here's the schedule. 7 a.m. to 11 a.m. 12 a.m. to 4 p.m. Oh, sorry, 12 p.m. to 4 p.m. 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. Those are the 3 shifts. If you're full-time, you must choose at least 1 shift a day. Sorry, 2 shifts a day, apologize. If you're part-time, you got to choose at least one shift. Part-timers, all those shifts should add up to at least 20 hours a week. Minimum, because that's part-time America. Anything less than 20 hours, you are fooling yourself. Full-time, it should add up to a minimum of 40 hours a week. Minimum. And in each shift, to make sure you put in a good shift, right? You guys remember when you went into your job, you had a smile, greet every customer. That's how you put in a good shift. Not have a bad attitude. A good shift is this. You must do one of these three. 300 dials. If you don't do 300 dials, you didn't put in a good shift. Or 2 presentations, or 1 sale. So, hey, listen, we can't control the results, but we can control the activity. So if you make 300 dials and you help no family, hey, celebrate. Here's the key, y'all. Yeah, here's the key. The human mind, it has to preserve you. It's good at preserving you physically. The skin is awesome. All the brain, I mean, it's awesome. The body preserves you. The mind preserves you as well. Because you know what happens? Because our goals suck and we don't know what to celebrate, what the scoreboard is, if you don't win long enough, you will get discouraged. That's the first fruit. And then the end result is you will quit. So you have to celebrate the right thing. What I mean, what do we celebrate? Celebrate the activity. So when you go into your shift, first, by the way, remember your schedule? Tell your boss what your shift is. If you're telling me you want to win, and how is it in the world, me, your boss, I don't know when you're showing up. Like, if you tell me you want to win, you want to go Hall of Fame, you want to go do 10 families a month, how, I should say, Marisa, oh, yep, she's showing up first shift and third shift. Like, I shouldn't even question it because I should know. How is it that you're going to work at a job and your boss doesn't know when you're working? Think about that for a second. Idiotic, right? So if you're not relaying that to your boss, you are in trouble. So here's what I'm saying. When you celebrate the activity, you will win. Hey, I helped. I called 300. Yes. I mean, go get some ice cream. I don't know. I don't watch TV, but go watch a movie. Whatever your thing is, celebrate the activity. Because that winning, because here's what will happen naturally to humans. And I know we're getting short on time. You will celebrate the result. And guess what the mind will say? I didn't help anybody. Womp, womp, womp. Happens over and over. But when you trick the mind and say, no, we're celebrating, we did $300. Yes, we made 2 presentations. No, who cares what the results are? The mind will be like, we're sad. No, wait, you're happy? Oh, okay, guys, new programming. We are now happy when we do the shifts. All of a sudden, momentum starts building. Momentum starts building. And now you do the same activity and you win. So what happened, Marisa? I'll just say in 2 seconds. I was stuck in 20 families, my 4th month, 20 families, and I was frustrated. You would think that a guy doing 20 families a month would be happy. I wasn't, because I like to scale. I feel like it's hopeless if I'm just going and not growing. And I was about to quit. Got to be real. I was about to quit this business and go get a job because it was less stressful. And I'm so grateful that I had gone through the activity, because I went to a training. It was a conference, and it had 2 people who shared their opening script when they got in the home. I literally said it word for word. I was not an asshole. I literally recorded what they said, went home and transcribed it. I said it over and over in front of the mirror, repeated it. When they raised their voice, I raised my voice. I did everything the same. That same month, I had been stuck at 20 families a month. That same month, I did 42 families. I went from 20 to 42 families. Less time. It must have been the leads, right? Oh, the next month I did 58 families. And then the next month it was like 65. Then I went to 50, 60, 70. Then I did like 88. What changed, y'all? So it was the same effort, but I was more effective during that time, because I did the activity, I did the learning knowledge, and I did the activity knowledge, and I went back to my mentors and I asked for help. So I hope that answered your question, Risa.
That was like awesome. Like, be your own GPS, guys. From there, like from that note, hopefully you took notes on this. If you did not take notes on this, this is 100% a call. I'd be like, listen back to this like 18 times. Like, Mac, I know when I'm having a tough day, like I might put this call on because you just spoke right from your heart. Like, own your numbers, guys. Like, time or money, right? What are your numbers? If you're on this call right now and you don't know your numbers, I love you, but you got to learn them. You got to learn them, or you're going to be like Mac, like he said. He's like, I was going to be going, right, like going out of the business, not growing into the business, right? And then the shifts. That's amazing, Mac. That I hadn't heard that from anybody. Like doing telesales, if you're full time, you need at least 2 of those shifts a day. If you're me, Liz, and Heather, we're like, we need 3. No, I'm only kidding. We're always on there. But my point is, guys, is truly, if you're doing telesales full time, pick 2 of those shifts. He said 7 to 11, 12 to 4, 5 to 9. They're 4-hour time slots. That's 8 hours each day. That is barely full time in the United States, right? And then go for an activity goal. When I talk about this, it's like, if I could highlight like one thing Max said, this is debatable, but it would be this. It would be go off of activity goals. Activity-based goals trump everything. Everything. If you are truly making 300 dials on each one of those shifts, so to say, then you should be seeing 2 presentations or 1 sale, right? If you hit 2 presentations, 100 dials in, maybe you'll realize, wow, I was just dialing really slow. I just wanted to hit one of these goals. And now I did my 2 presentations, but I'm going to keep going, right? It's going to push you to new goals and new limits. I don't think there's anything better than activity goals. And then celebrating small wins. Just like Max said, he's not saying like, oh, be like, I made 300 dials. I'm going to throw a party next week and celebrate my 300 dials. But what he is saying is, if you like to eat ice cream, go get a damn ice cream and eat the ice cream. Celebrate the small win. You put the activity in, the result is going to come on the back end, whether you think it is or you think it's not. Mac, you ever have a bad 3 days and the next 3 days are absolutely amazing and you're like, why did I close everybody I've ever talked to? Like, it happens, guys. That's what it looks like in this business. It's amazing. And then I love how you said new programming. Your new program is going to say, okay, I did these shifts, I did these amount of activity, dials, presentations, sales, etc. And then your brain's just going to start working like that. So just like Max said, if you're part-time and you don't have one of those shifts, you need at least 1 every single day. And if you're full-time, you need at least 2 every single day. And that should bring you to a place of having the proper activity to get the proper results that you need and being able to work those numbers backwards, just like Max said. So become your own GPS.